For Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lipson. I am now joined by Lewis University men's volleyball head coach Dan Friend. And Coach, first opportunity this past Sunday, you guys hosted a preseason event at your place, had some good results come in. How would you assess your team's performance?
I thought we did a nice job. I think, we only played 5 matches, over 2 out of 3, and had 15 games overall, and played a lot of different lineups, got to do a lot of different guys, and ultimately had a lot of good results. And it was just a good opportunity for us to get some live volleyball, and we've been going for about a week, and it's always good to play the competition because I think it just changes that level of play in terms of real accomplishment scores and all that stuff and everything. And so I was happy with the guys, pointing out some things we want to jump on and get better at, but ultimately for it's like 5 or 6 of our guys their first time playing as a Lewis men's volleyball player, and so they got some great touches, and so that was good to see as well.
And Coach, a lot of MIVA opponents at this non-conference event for you. Good opportunity for your players to see some of the upcoming opponents that they play. So with that being said, was there any player in particular today who stood out and really impressed you?
Yeah, I think we've been in this meet for I can't remember 5 or 6 years now at least, and it's always great conference turnout. We had IPFW, Ball State, Loyola, Lindenwood, McKendree, and we always invite Grandview over. It's a really good NAI team, and so definitely got to see some of the different teams in the conference and see what those guys are bringing to the table, and that's always nice to see a little bit. At the same time, for us, we had Ryan Coon, redshirt freshman for us. He definitely stood out a little bit. We saw him do some really good things, and Yoshimoto got he was behind Scotty last year, and he was second quite a bit today, but we also got to see a couple other setters, and so I saw we had the big old Bob Walsh's place, and so we had a couple middles, both John Hodul and Danny Mauer that were doing a really nice job along with Nick Vanderzen, and so I got to see all those guys play a little bit. So Shreve was coming off a knee surgery and looks fresh and good, and so I know he's excited to get back on the court at the same time. So.
Yeah, and Coach, I want to ask you about your setter situation a little bit because we'll be seeing a new setter stepping in. Is there any setter in particular who has the upper advantage right now going in, or do you think that this is going to be something that you may not know until January when the season starts who your starting setter is going to be?
Well, I think Matt's got the upper hand right now. You know what I mean? I think Ryan Van Loo and Jacob Kirshner are working hard to push him. I would say that Matt is in the lead a little bit, and continue to battle throughout the fall, but as I would say right now, he's got that upper hand. He's got a little experience from last year, and he's definitely doing some nice things for us. There's a different style than Scotty, and then even DJ before Scotty, and so he's an athletic kid, and he's got a good arm, and so definitely brings a little different dynamic for us.
Yeah. And Coach, you mentioned a little bit earlier, obviously a lot of good results from this event today, but also probably, I'm sure, some 1 or 2 things that you want to work on. What may be the 1 or 2 things that you told your players that you guys need to clean up?
Well, ultimately, I think we want to get a little more efficient offensively, and that's a little bit of connection setter hitters. And so, anytime I think you got a couple of new setters in the gym, that makes it difficult. You know what I mean? And so, ultimately, we want that to get a little cleaner, just all the way around, both our pins, our middles, everything. So, I think that's a big focus point. And just our serve pass game. You know what I mean? I think that's always the push. You know what I mean? So, we want to attack from the service line and work to score points, and we want to be as consistent as we can from the passing line along with serving that, we put ourselves in a position to be in the system as much as possible. So, I think those are some big focus points for us in terms of that. And there's a lot of little things just to kind of clean up, and we'll get some other tests. We have a Loyal tournament coming up, and then we go out and play BYU and Long Beach. That'll be a really nice test with those guys, and seeing where that serve pass game is for sure. So.
And Coach, I do want to ask you, you've been through these preseasons before, at this time in the preseason, what's kind of the big focus that you're putting on your team? Is it, trying to install your system? Is it more serving and passing, or is it a little bit of combination of everything?
It is a combo, but every year brings something different. So I would say this year we got a lot of new faces, and even some new guys on the court. And so those guys are really learning the systems, and we had to integrate those guys in because we had a young core group last year that had a lot of game experience. You know what I mean? And so integrating the new young guys with the guys who've got at least a year and getting everybody on the same page, and I think that's really what the fall is about for me. On top of that, working to kind of establish our culture and our identity for this team for this year. Do you know what I mean? I think every year is a little bit different. And so this team's starting on that journey to kind of figure out, okay, what type and what style of volleyball are we playing? I mean, ultimately, I do think every coach has a style and a system, and that's what we're trying to learn with what we do here at Lewis. But at the same time, every team has a little bit of a different edge or a different piece to them. Do you know what I mean? And we'll see how that kind of morphs out as we go through some of these, fall games, and you'll have good ones and bad ones, and we'll ultimately try to push ourselves to be in the best position possible when the season starts in January.
Yeah, and Coach, I do want to ask you about the start of your season in January. Obviously, your first regular season match of the year against BYU, and then a week later you have Pepperdine come in. Can you just talk a little bit about this non-conference schedule and just how excited you are to get some of these home matches against West Coast teams you don't normally get?
Well, it's great. I mean, I think, but you know as well as I do. I said, I always schedule tough, having year in and year out, and you want to play the best to be the best, and you want to compete for either a conference championship and a national championship. You need to go out and schedule it. And we open up with Alberta, who is ultimately always first or second in the Canadian League up there, and we go up there and play Alberta for like the 29th and the 31st or whatever, or 28th and 30th, and so we're going to get those guys a couple matches even before we get BYU. And I think we're really just trying to set the table to put ourselves in the best position. I mean, BYU is a great team, and then we even got Harvard and NJIT along with Pepperdine coming in as well. So you get to open up first two home weekends. I don't always get to do that. That's a really nice thing. I mean, a lot of years, if you go back and look, we're always traveling those first couple weekends to get those games, and so to have a couple West Coast schools coming out here and getting open at home this year, and compared to maybe we were on the road last year, that'll be really nice, and being in front of the home crowd and the home gym, and then we got some tough schedules that go throughout the year. Conference schedule is always tough. Ohio State will be great along with the other conference teams, and we're going to go out to California, and play UCLA, Santa Barbara, and USC, and that'll be a great road trip and see where we're at mid-season-wise and give us a real good test. And, of course, we've always got Penn State and St. Francis home and away, and those guys are both great out of the event. So I think, you want to get to where you want to go, you got to go through a lot of teams, and that's what we're trying to prepare our guys for, so we're in the best position when it comes time to postseason play.
Yeah, well, Coach, I think looking at the schedule, you finally found a way to convince your players that it's warm in Chicago in January by sending them up to Alberta the week before. But,
for sure.
All seriousness, though, you look at the team, you look at the conference coming back, do you guys have a feeling that this could be a team that's going to compete for the MIVA and make it back to the NCAA tournament?
I think we're in that realm every year. You look at even last year. We played 8 seniors and 4 All-Americans, you know what I mean? And we were knocking at the door with some freshmen. So I think our guys have the ability to compete at a pretty high level, and if we can do the right things and get in a good groove, we put ourselves in a good position to do that again.